The studio lights on Good Morning America felt hotter than usual as Tom Cruise took his seat across from Michael Strahan. The familiar morning show buzz, soft laughter from the crew, producers whispering into headsets, cameras gliding smoothly on their tracks, hung in the air, but beneath it was a strange undercurrent, something tense and electric. Tom adjusted his jacket, offering the practiced smile audiences had known for decades, the kind that usually eased a room within seconds. Michael Strahan, relaxed but alert, shuffled his notes, clearly ready to steer the conversation beyond the standard promotional circuit. At first, everything followed the expected rhythm. They talked about Tom's latest film, the physical demands of the role, the relentless training, the dedication to doing his own stunts. Tom spoke smoothly, his enthusiasm genuine, his words punctuated by quick smiles and animated gestures. The audience nodded along, some leaning forward, others whispering excitedly as they watched one of Hollywood's most recognizable figures just a few feet away. It felt safe, familiar, exactly what viewers expected from a morning interview. Then Strahan shifted gears. "So Tom," he said, leaning back slightly, his tone casual but deliberate, "you've been in this industry a long time. Fame, pressure, expectations, how much of that has shaped who you are off-screen?" It wasn't an unusual question, but something in the delivery made Tom pause for half a second longer than before. His smile softened, his eyes narrowing almost imperceptibly as he considered the angle. He answered diplomatically, talking about discipline, focus, and staying grounded. The words were measured, careful, but the warmth that had filled the earlier part of the interview dimmed just a little. Strahan nodded, then followed up quickly, barely leaving space for the answer to settle. "And when people criticize your choices, professionally or personally, do you think they're being fair?" The studio seemed to quiet. A few crew members exchanged glances. This was edging closer to territory morning shows usually tiptoed around. Tom shifted in his chair, crossing his hands loosely, still composed but more guarded now. He responded with a polite deflection, emphasizing respect for differing opinions and his commitment to his craft. His voice remained calm, but the cadence had changed, slower, firmer, more controlled. Strahan smiled, sensing momentum, and pressed again. "But there are people who say some of your decisions have overshadowed your work. Does that frustrate you?" This time, Tom didn't answer immediately. He inhaled, his jaw tightening slightly before relaxing again. The pause stretched just long enough for the audience to feel it. The cameras zoomed in subtly, catching the shift in his expression. When he spoke, his tone was still even, but there was steel beneath it. He spoke about responsibility, about how every public figure faces scrutiny, about choosing what deserves attention and what doesn't. Before he could finish, Strahan interjected, "But wouldn't you say?" Tom raised a hand, not sharply, but decisively. The gesture alone was enough to stop the interruption mid-sentence. The room froze. It wasn't aggressive, wasn't loud, but it carried unmistakable authority. Tom leaned forward slightly, his posture signaling that the balance of the conversation had changed. "Let me finish," he said calmly. It wasn't a rebuke, just a statement, but it landed like one. Strahan leaned back, surprised, nodding as he yielded the floor. Tom continued, his voice steady, eyes focused not just on Strahan but on the cameras, the audience, the millions watching at home. He spoke about boundaries, about why some questions distract from the work itself, and about the importance of focusing on what brings people together rather than what pulls them apart. His words were thoughtful, controlled, and unmistakably final. As he spoke, the studio atmosphere shifted. The easy chatter from earlier was gone, replaced by an almost reverent silence. Audience members sat still, some wide-eyed, others nodding slowly as they absorbed the moment. Producers watched closely from behind the cameras, fully aware they were witnessing something unscripted and powerful. Tom didn't raise his voice once. He didn't criticize or accuse. Instead, he framed the conversation on his terms, calmly but firmly redirecting it. When he finished, he leaned back in his chair, hands resting calmly, expression composed. The message was clear without being spoken aloud. This line of questioning was over. For a brief second, Strahan seemed to search for the right response. He cleared his throat, offered a measured smile, and acknowledged Tom's point. The tension lingered, but the direction of the interview had undeniably shifted. The control now rested firmly with Tom. Cameras rolled on, but everyone in the room knew something significant had just happened. What started as a standard morning interview had turned into a quiet standoff, resolved not with raised voices or drama, but with calm authority and unmistakable presence. And as the show moved forward, that moment hung in the air, unspoken yet impossible to ignore.